Red Velvet out. Who is gonna be in? Jade Cargill, Stokely Hathaway, the Baddies. They are looking to recruit someone new to the group. Who's it gonna be? We discussed that and more today, right here at Wrestle Extra.
Yo, this is WrstlXtra. I'm your boy, A Dazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate. As always, joined by my tag team partner, Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will. Oh, it's Baddie Search is on. It feels like a Black Diva Search.
Yeah, it does, isn't it?
So Jade Cargill, last week on Dynamite, I believe it was, put out the call for a new baddie, using the hashtag Baddie Search. Red Velvet is out. Is she actually like out the group, or is she just out injured?
So this is the part which is a bit unclear because she's injured, that's for sure. She's on AEW's injured list, internal injured list. However, the way the segment took place, it was very much like, oh, Red Velvet's not here anymore. We're moving on. I'm pretty sure they said, yeah, we move on. And then they said, Stokely Hathaway cut his promo about the baddie search and who they're looking to recruit and keep it PG and all that stuff he said.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the way it was phrased is like they've washed their hands of Red Velvet. Or are they just like moving on? So it's not a big deal. Like she's injured and she's not going to be featured on screen with them. Like surely if she was injured, she could still be on screen with them. Like
yeah. I mean, my understanding is, this is not necessarily anything that's been really put out there or whatever else. I know that Red Velvet is still involved with her, I guess, home company, which is Fighting Evolution Wrestling. They've got something coming up in Trinidad with a new company called All Caribbean Wrestling. And I know she's apparently supposed to be featured on that. So in terms of her being injured, I don't know whether that's kayfabe. I don't know whether that's real. I don't know whether that's just for TV.
It's real.
And she's got a few dates kind of going on. So
it's confirmed she's injured. She really is injured. It's not banter. So yeah, this is why it's kind of they didn't say like she's actually out, but like they were very dismissive of the fact she's injured. Not even we send our love to our baddie and all of this kind of stuff. Like it was just like she's injured. We're moving on. This is the search. Like,
and it's not even like they even said it in a way where they were like, "Well, she couldn't get the job done, so we've got rid of her." You know what I mean? They didn't even say that either. It was kind of like, this in between place of trying to make sense of it. But nevertheless, there is a search going on. And Jade made sure on Twitter that, she said this search is very real. It's not just for TV. This is a very real baddie. I keep saying diva search. Baddie search. I'm to use this WWE life. And yeah, it's happening. I mean, I don't know what the premise of it is. I don't know whether they actually kind of like, I don't know whether this is the whole baddie section thing where, if there's a group of ladies who are all in the same state, in the same place where they're going to be at, they just get them to come as they have been the last few months and having, the baddie section and whatever else from these ladies who are hashtagging diva baddie search. I need to get that diva out of my head. Or are they actually looking for, female wrestlers to come forward and be like, yo, I want to be part of the baddies as well? It's very unclear. It's not even easy to make sense of it via Twitter or, social media or whatever else based on what people have posted and whatnot. But I guess the question for us is, the question we can answer or try to answer, should I say, is who would fit in this group of ladies, of course, managed by Stokely Hathaway. You've got Jade Cargill, of course. We all know about Jade Cargill. We've got Kiera Hogan, who is a little firecracker in her own right and doing her thing. Who fits in with these two ladies? Who's out there that can fit in?
Now, I'm gonna run through some names, some more realistic than others, depending on contractual status, this, that, and the other. But what I will start off with saying is the answer for this person is Sunny Kiss. Like
straight up, I don't even know why there's a set. Like Jade should anything about it being real, because it literally should just be Sunny and done.
Jade, I think it was at the Double or Nothing media scrum. Jade said that Sunny is obviously someone that they all love, very close in their little circles backstage and stuff like that. They would love to kind of get him involved, but it's a thing where there's only a certain amount of spaces. Well, now a space has opened up, so Sunny Kiss should be first on the list and probably the one to get it. But yeah, I guess that's dependent on other things and maybe whatever plans they have for the baddies. Now, the fun part of speculating who it could be.
Right.
There are names. I guess there may be about 4 names, and obviously it's baddies in it. So I'm going to try to stick to predominantly black women.
Of course.
I'm going to try to stick to women that fit that aesthetic and not so much just anyone. Names that immediately come to my head is Tasha Steelz. Obviously, no longer part of no longer the Impact Women's Champion. She could reform Fire and Flame under the whole baddies thing alongside Kiera Hogan. So that's one person.
Interesting.
Cameron or Adriana Andrews. Ariana Andrews, sorry.
That could work.
She's already featured in AEW. Another possibility, if they are serious with all of this, I think she would fit the aesthetic very well. And then there's 2 names which are, I guess, a bit more unrealistic.
Okay.
One, 100%, I don't think, but could fit.
Okay.
And those 2 names are Naomi and Sasha Banks. It's obviously it's 100 to 1. Obviously they haven't even been released from WWE, but depending how long this search is ongoing for and all of this kind of stuff, if for especially Sasha Banks, that we'll talk about later on in the show, that there's this, we now know her lawyers are trying to get her out of her contract. Right. Listen, Sasha Banks isn't going to come and play second fiddle to Jade. That's for sure. But again, like Sasha Banks, Naomi are people that could very much fit that baddies sort of thing.
Team bad. Come on.
Yeah,
baddies.
Exactly.
Team bad. It was there.
So those are my guesses. Any from yourself?
So I actually put out a tweet a few days ago with a few names that I thought were very, very realistic, actually. The first one came to mind was Layla Gray.
Okay.
So Layla Gray has been on Dark a good few times. She fits the bill all day long. She's the current OVW Women's Champion, I believe, about 2 months ago. She fits the bill all day long. So that's her. Another one, this is more, it's a possibility, but more of maybe a bit of a wish on my side. Renee Michelle. Yeah,
I saw you say that. Yeah, it's a good guess. That's someone else that is, to be honest, is a good guess.
Fit the bill perfectly. I believe. I think it's a little bit of a crime that she isn't a main feature on any women's roster on one of the main promotions. Impact. She's been appeared on Impact, back on Impact a few times. She's been on AEW. Obviously, we saw her, in WWE a few years ago when she got married to what's his name again? Rockstar Spud.
Rockstar Spud. Yeah, I can't remember his WWE name.
Drake Maverick. Jeez,
Maverick. That's it.
Yeah, the real life wife of Drake Maverick as well. So yeah, she's another one again, winning championships. Won the I think it's Shine Nova Championship the other day. If you watch the match, that woman's on point. Another name was Sahara 7. Now she's someone who's also been on Dark a couple of times. She's been in the business for a while, doing her stuff on the indies. Again, fits the bill. in terms of her, attitude, the way she is, how she is, and all the rest of it, and got a good. I know she knows Kiera Hogan well as well, from their time when they were on the Indies together and stuff as well. So she's another one. My fourth choice, I think it's realistic, but it would be down to storyline and whatnot. For me, it would be nice to kind of throw Willow Nightingale. So as much as she's on the side of Chris Statlander and Athena at the moment, who are contesting the Baddies, it would be a very interesting turn of events if she was to turn on those two and then join the Baddies. So I think it's realistic only in that sense. Not necessarily, a character doesn't necessarily fit. I know she can do the opposite, but I think she's still got she's got massive potential in being the way she is, because there's no one else like her on AEW at the moment, and she needs to be signed ASAP. But in terms of a nice little, switch in terms of the story and whatever else, I think Willow Nightingale would fit it nicely. So those are my four. I can't really think of anyone else outside that. I think Ariana Andrew was a very good one. That's a very good one. And Tasha Steelz, possibility. She's still involved with Impact quite a bit. She actually is facing Jordan Grace for the title, against all odds in a few weeks, I believe it is. So she's still involved there. So again, as you said, though, it can depend on how long this search is actually going to last. Is it going to be a long thing? Is it going to be, a few months? How are they playing it out just to kind of see what they can do, or just have something else they can go with if their stories are not necessarily going the way they want to? It's interesting, but it still comes back to, at the end of the day, for me, Sonny Kiss is the only one that makes absolute complete sense. The rest of the others that I mentioned, it can work, it can happen, but it's then bringing people in and contracting them and all this kind of stuff when Sonny Kiss is there doing nothing right now.
If they don't give it to Sonny Kiss, if I'm Sonny Kiss, I'm leaving AEW.
Oh yeah, straight off.
Like you might call it dramatic or whatever, but this is, like you're saying, is a golden opportunity.
Right.
And if you don't now want to make use of me in almost a position where you still don't need to really make use of me, you're just putting me on TV with them.
Right.
But if it's not this, then what? Then what? Because you put me with Joey Janela before this, and now he's gone. So yeah, if it's not this, then I don't really know what I'm doing here. All your guesses, like I said, I'd seen before, I think on Twitter, that you put them on. Willow, I think Willow she's got the potential to be a star in her own right.
Yes.
But why I like her in the Baddies as a potential idea is because obviously with the Baddies, they came with this whole women's beauty, self-confidence, that kind of angle. And Willow doesn't look anything like the rest of the women in the group. So I think she'll be a good representative of, that sector of the market, if you see what I mean. Right. Going into the Baddies. Other than that, I personally wouldn't put her because I want to see her. I honestly think Willow can become AEW's NXT Bailey. Like that mad with it. Like Bailey, them times, I couldn't believe. I thought Bailey was going to become like the female John Cena. Them times. Right. That's how crazy it was. You know how rabid NXT fans were for Bailey them times. And I really think Willow has that energy to basically do that for AEW.
And here's the thing, like we've just said how she would fit the Baddies for very different reasons. And if for those that don't necessarily really know, she's also part of a tag team on the Indies called Thick and Juicy, where it's with I believe is it Bobby Valentine, and it was Faye Jackson before. And they're all about them being big and beautiful. You know what I mean? Aggressive but fun, all that kind of stuff. So to add that dynamic to the Baddies would be phenomenal. But again, at the same time, as you said very correctly, she definitely has her own energy, to go with and make something of herself. So then it then puzzles me even more that this woman hasn't been signed yet. Like the potential of this woman is ridiculous in every heel, face, good girl, bad girl, whatever it is. Like it's crazy. So I'm now just like, so what are we doing with this woman?
I personally think by the end of July she'll be signed. It's coming closer. She's on TV more. It looks like they're gonna put her in this angle with Athena and what's her face, Statlander. So I think by the end of July it will be done. But you just mentioned one name which I was gonna mention, but I thought let me leave it. Faye Jackson.
Oh, you know what? During the pandemic times, when AEW started kind of just throwing in wrestlers on Dark and stuff like that, Faye Jackson was often in the crowd. I don't think she ever was in the ring, but I believe she got injured.
Okay.
And that's why she's not active anymore. I think she kind of semi-retired or something along those lines. Something along those lines. She hasn't been active for a very long time. So maybe it's still a possibility, but it wouldn't be. She wouldn't be active.
Yeah,
she'd fit the bill so perfectly. Actually, she'd fit the bill, and for the same reasons we said, Willow would as well. Bigger woman, big and beautiful. Let's run that. Let's run that agenda as well as the physically fit woman as well. So she would fit it nicely. I don't know if she'd be able to be active. That's the only problem with her.
That makes sense.
But yeah, that's where it is. So I guess we're in this place where we're like, okay, right. The two questions now we're left with is, what are we doing with Sonic Kiss? What are we doing with Willow Nightingale? That from this baddie search, that's the two questions that I'm coming away with. The third one being, who's gonna be this other person? You know what I mean? Could it be one of those two or just someone else out of the blue? And then what is actually happening with Red Velvet? It's all up in the air.
Yeah, Red Velvet's on this notorious injured list that AEW have right now, boy. So we were just saying before she went into the baddies that she needs something. Now she had that lease of life with the baddies, and depending how long she's injured, like I said, it might be probably serious if she can't at least be coming to TV and be doing baddie stuff with them. So true. It's almost like starting again for Red Velvet whenever she does come back.
It's going to be interesting to see how she features when she does come back, whether it's going to be straight back in or whether she contests them. I think either way, it could be something that works for her regardless. If it's done right, it doesn't really matter. If it means she, becomes an enemy to them, it gives her a new lease of life as a face again, and hopefully, give her something to do. If she comes straight back in, then she comes straight back into being on TV all the time, or very often. So it should work out either way for her. But I guess we're just in this place where we just don't know what's going on.
Maybe she makes the save when like Jade is about to lose. She jumps out the crowd and saves it and reunites, sort of thing. So
that would be interesting. To talk about that actually real quick, do you think we're still gonna get Athena versus Jade first, or Chris Statlander versus Jade? Because even that's not clear.
It isn't, but I've got my heart personally on Chris Statlander dethroning her. Either Statlander or Willow at this point need to be the ones to dethrone Jade. I'm not too invested in Athena right now. So yeah, I think they throw Athena at her first. She can't get the job done. And then Chris Statlander or Willow being physically bigger women that can match up with Jade now give Jade a really close match and possibly pip it from her then.
Here's a question actually. So we saw Willow in ROH as well recently. We know that I think it's, what is it called again? What's the next pay-per-view?
All Out?
No. For ROH, they just announced it.
Death by Dishonor?
Death by Dishonor, that's the one. So I had a question, and this was you didn't know I was going to ask this, but I had a question about this whole thing. Like, is it too early for another pay-per-view when there's no weekly show, or do you think that they'll announce details of a weekly show at the pay-per-view?
I definitely think we're about to start getting more ROH programming on AEW TV to build to the pay-per-view. Even whether it's dark or actual on TV stuff. However, I can't imagine at this point, because Supercard of Honor is basically their WrestleMania. So WrestleMania weekend is in the same place as WrestleMania. This one, I know it's on their usual calendar, but it's not necessary to be busting it right now because there's no TV show. How do we build to this? So I can only imagine, yes, maybe like you're saying, something is en route and maybe they're going to announce it during the show. We've got a deal. It's going to be available on this streaming platform or whatever the case is, which would be brilliant. But yeah, for those of us that it's just so much happening on AEW TV, so much good stuff with even the AEW people. Now you're going to mix in some Ring of Honor storylines. It might feel a bit too much. It might feel a bit disjointed, but to be honest, they've got a bigger period now. The AEW's next pay-per-view isn't till September.
Right.
So they've got the best part of 2.5 months or so to, spare some of that time to Ring of Honor, as well as telling their own stories. And like I say, the majority of it, I'm guessing, will probably be done on like Dark or Dark Elevation anyway. Rampage. So yeah, they've got other avenues to do it rather than, on Dynamite and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. I mean, we saw some kind, interaction with Jonathan Gresham was on, I think it was Rampage, and facing, offered Lee Moriarty a chance at the ROH World Championship. And then Tully Blanchard kind of got involved and with his little faction and stuff like that. So I kind of see that being a build up to maybe Brian Cage versus Jonathan Gresham at Death by Dishonor, something like that. We've seen this ongoing thing with Jay Lethal and Samoa Joe being the ROH television champion at the moment. So there's things happening, and there's a way it maybe can be done, but I think it will feel like too much is going on for maybe the next 4 weeks. Or it's either, I feel as though too much is going on, or not enough is going on for certain AEW roster members, because
that's what it is.
That's gonna be happening. So that's gonna be.
It's that median of too much is happening for Ring of Honor, and then some of our AEW favorites are probably going to be sacrificed while they're telling them stories.
Exactly.
So yeah,
it's gonna be interesting. To move things on, let's go to Forbidden Door for a second. So Forbidden Door, great pay-per-view. I actually watched it. I didn't think I was actually going to watch it. I did. It was very consistent, very good. Yes, there was all this kind of stuff about the last two matches, the way they ended. It was a little bit weird, but these things happen. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But my thing was this. Why were all the black wrestlers involved on the buy-in? Keith Lee, Swerve, Max Caster, Ricky Starks, Anthony Bowens, Powerhouse Hobbs, even what's his name from the LA Dojo, something Knight. I can't remember.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but I know you're talking about. Yeah, light skin guy
who was representing. Yeah, who was representing New Japan. No Jade whatsoever. Not that I expected to see Jade at a pay-per-view like this, but what's that about, bro? Like, I don't understand why this. I don't.
Put it this way, I don't think any of the supposed dream matches that we would avoid. I mean, this didn't turn out to be like a dream match card, but
no, not completely.
Any of the dream matches, even if you were going to book this match, book the card, and it was just going to be full of dream matches, how many of those dream matches would have included black talent anyway? I don't think there's anyone. It's only Jonathan Gresham's name was only being mentioned because Daniel Bryan couldn't face Zack Sabre Jr. himself. So when people were speculating who's the mystery person going to be, Gresham's name was coming up. But other than that, it's just like maybe that black talents aren't on that level yet to give us dream matches against some of these guys from Japan. That could be one thing. They put a women's match on the card, which had nothing to do with New Japan. I guess that was them ticking the diversity box somewhat. just making sure women are involved on this occasion. But yeah, I mean, if we're super critical, yeah, you can say they should have done better and made sure that was the case. But I feel in this situation, it might just be a reflection on the talent, maybe just the talent that they have, that there isn't any black person per se that could have a dream match. I can't call one now. I'm thinking of who is such and such black athlete I would love to see take on another New Japan opponent. It's difficult, but yeah, if you're really doing what you said you want to do, have the diversity, this, that, and the other, and everything, I guess you would try to make that conscious effort. Even something like Swerve and Keith Lee were obviously they wrestled on the buy-in. The same with Max Caster and stuff in a couple light-hearted matches, followed by the Ricky Starks Hobbs segment. Just light-hearted stuff. So further along their feuds, but I guess we just didn't make the cut because right now we might not be good enough. That's being frank. That's what it might be.
But the question always is. Or the argument always is. Pro wrestling is predetermined. So for people to be not good enough is someone's decision. You know what I mean? It's someone's decision. And for me, I guess, I'm not going to completely throw out what you're saying in terms of, when you think about these dream matches, whose name comes to mind. Unfortunately, very few. But at the same time, is that because of the way they've been used recently? Or is it literally because they're not good enough? Because Swerve, this guy's been putting on performance after performance like it's nothing. Even the performance on the buy-in, I was like, hold on. This guy's not in, and he's not in this, and he's not in that. He probably should have been part of the All Atlantic tournament thing some way.
He's American. He can't because it's not for Americans. But it is for Americans at the same time.
That's a whole lot of... What's Clark Connor? I mean, I know he was representing New Japan, but what is he?
Anyway, let's continue.
You know what I mean? It's one of those ones. But I get, as I said, for me, the argument is more so, how are these talents being used in order for us to want to see them on a card like this, on the dream matches or a dream match card or dream match potential card, as Forbidden Door was anticipated to be. End of the day, some of the matches didn't turn out to be what we all wanted them to be in terms of the card itself. Again, pay-per-view was absolutely great, was fine, probably their best so far. So nothing really bad to say about that, the pay-per-view in general, but it's still kind of like, all right, you say you're doing this, yet we're kind of still kind of dragging our feet with this whole thing. And that's not to say put the world championship on Keith Lee and put this on that person and that on this person. You've got the TNT champion not involved. You know what I mean? I know there's certain things going on with Wardlow and all that kind of stuff, but not involved in the pay-per-view. It kind of shows, one, what you think of. Is it what you think of Scorpio Sky, or is it what you currently think of the championship itself? But the arguments are there. We can't answer the questions. I'm just putting it out there because I need to get it off my chest, and I've done it now. So we can move on.
Let me go again before we move on.
Yeah, go for it.
Firstly, again, Scorpio Sky is injured. He's on the injured list, so hence why he wasn't on the pay-per-view.
Right.
I'll correct myself. Yes, it's not that we're not good enough. That was incorrect of me. It's that we haven't reached a place where these guys are, and you might say maybe getting TV time for us to say, "Oh, wouldn't I want to see Keith Lee versus Ishii or someone like that?" We haven't got to a place where we're basically gagging for it. You see what I mean? So, maybe through several great performances, being used, great exposure, maybe a championship, we might get to a point where we say one day, you know what, next Forbidden Door, I want to see Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. We may get to that point, but right now, nobody, and we're just honest with ourselves, is calling for a dream match that has any black person obviously from AEW involved in it. Like, we just have to be honest. No one's calling for it, so that's why there isn't the match, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It's disappointing, but it is what it is, and it is the truth. To be honest, it is the truth. Gosh, this is where we're at. We mentioned Sasha Banks earlier, possibly at some point joining AEW in some way. That may feel a little bit closer now that we are hearing rumors. No actual facts as of yet. That she is looking to be released from her contract now. About 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, there was all this hoo-ha that she actually was released. Nothing was confirmed from anyone, from WWE, from herself, not even from some of the more reliable, sources in like Sean Ross Sapp, for example, Dave Meltzer, others out there. But it's been highly talked about, or heavily talked about even, that Sasha Banks is going to be released, wants to be released, or is already released. What is the scoop so far?
So it was obviously, like you said, there was like Raj Guru, I think his name is, saying that she had been released. Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, he was looking for his sources to confirm that. His sources were saying we haven't heard of that. They weren't denying it, but they were saying from what he's written that they hadn't heard of that. And then a couple of weeks afterwards, it was a case of Sasha Banks had, I think, Andrew Zarian from Matt Men podcast. He said that his sources had told him that Sasha Banks's attorneys were fully there at this point trying to get her out of her deal. I think that rumor came after Sasha Banks had been pictured. I think she went to some type of health clinic and she'd been pictured with brown hair, or even it might have even been her natural hair. So the blue
new look.
Okay, yeah. So the blue is gone. So yeah, the blue's gone. Some brown hairdo, wig, whatever it is, and yeah. Then I think they went back and said why she changed the hair color. The rumors of her being released had intensified again, and then Andrew Zarian came with this report that she hadn't been released as of yet, but her attorneys are trying to get her out of her deal. So that's where we stand. Still no kind of word from Naomi. Naomi is kind of resurfaced back on social media in the last couple of weeks. She was watching Forbidden Door by the looks of it the other night. But yeah, it looks like the situation is soon going to sort itself out. It's a disgraceful way to lose, as far as what I'm concerned, a top talent. I was listening on Wrestling's podcast from this past week, and Earl, the guy we call Knowledge, he was saying that he's done the research as he always does. He loves data. He said in 2021, Sasha Banks was the biggest ratings draw in WWE, ahead of Lesnar, ahead of Roman. Her 15-minute segments where she's on TV, just like we were reporting for Jade Cargill, are all the highest segments for whatever reason. Are all the highest segments of WWE, and it at the same time that doesn't give you the right to necessarily throw your toys out the pram and move mad at work. I still believe what she was fighting for was the right thing, and you should be able to voice your opinions and stuff like that. But this is a really sad way to end the career, which, again, in my opinion, she's achieved all she's achieved without her career really kicking off. If we're completely honest, she hasn't got like Charlotte Flair numbers. She's just been immense and great with what they've given her. They have not given her Roman, right, you're going to have a dominant run, or Triple H 2003 Reign of Terror, or like I say, a Charlotte, we're going to give you bloody 13 titles. Like, she has just, made chicken stew out of chicken poo and made it happen. Like, she hasn't been... I don't want to, it's just me, I don't want to sound crazy, but she has never really been the focal point ever. Like, yeah, this is where we are. Like, it's always been, you know, somewhat before her. It was Bailey in NXT. Charlotte Flair has always been Charlotte Flair. And then obviously in the last couple of years, Becky's made the ascent.
Yep.
When has it been Sasha's season?
Never. And the joke is, I was going to say, yes, there has been, because when Sasha was, you know, she had the Raw Women's Championship and won the SmackDown and the tag team. And
small stints.
That was her and Bailey. On foot, that was her and Bailey. And they did absolutely great with it. Bailey went on to do other things. Sasha had a little run and actually had a run with a championship for more than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With the SmackDown Women's one, and had the great match with Bianca, but that was then to build Bianca, which happens. You know, Sasha could have had the greatest run for 2 years. It has to end at some point for someone else. But yeah, it's never been about Sasha Banks, but then Sasha Banks made it about Sasha Banks. And that's why we love her the way that we do. And WWE have never been fully invested, even though she's bringing in the numbers, as you said, in terms of ratings. I know she's killed it when it comes to merch.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff as well. She's done the movies and all the rest of it. So that's not, they're not just choosing someone at random to do that. They know that there's some star power there, and obviously decent acting skills as well. So it's crazy to think that they're gonna allow her to just go. But at the same time, I understand that in almost any company, and I don't necessarily agree that this is the case, but I kind of see them seeing it like this. When someone thinks they're bigger than the company, you cut ties regardless of how
flush them out.
They are. It happened to CM Punk. It's happened to others in the past as well. So I get their stance. I don't agree with it, but I get their stance. That's how they're seeing it. But it's luckily for Sasha Banks herself, it won't mess up her career and the options that she has. Naomi, on the other hand, is probably looking at that very differently. What we can't think off the top of our head what Naomi would do after wrestling. Sasha Banks, we can name like 3 or 4 different things. But even with Naomi, it's even worse. You look back at her career and you're just like, they did nothing with her.
Criminal offense, bro. Apart
from the 3 months in that space of time where WrestleMania was in her hometown. That is it.
Yeah.
That is it. You know what I mean? Bro. And I'm just like, the woman's been there 10 plus years, and there's very little she can say, especially in terms of a continuity, any kind of consistency in how her career has gone in the WWE. And yet she's just going to go because she was fighting for something that everybody kind of wanted. You know what I mean? It's not like it was. Neither of them were being selfish, because they were both, according to reports, they were both kind of like going to be put in positions where they were facing the respective women's champions.
Yeah.
So one was going to face Bianca, one was going to face Ronda Rousey. So if I'm being selfish, oh yeah, give me that. I'm down. Let's go. Whether I'm winning or not, give me that. I'm down. Let's go. But it wasn't. Their focus was no. We want to make sure these tag team championships mean something for the women and the locker room, and they have something else to fight for and all that kind of stuff, and not just hope that they get their one chance at the singles championships. They've got something else to kind of fight for that means something to them.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, we are where we are.
For it.
And yeah, they've been punished for it. That's crazy, bro. They've been punished for it. It's weird. It's weird. It's like it's a little bit of a reflection of recent events in America in general. Women's rights are just, women don't mean nothing.
What rights?
The men in suits are the ones that are making the decisions. No one else matters. It's crazy, bro. It's absolute madness.
It's very poor. Like a little story. I remember when I first told myself, all right, I'm going to commit to doing this content creation on wrestling and all that kind of stuff. I was on holiday at the time. I was in Grenada. And just on the beach, I was just thought, let me sharpen my skills. I've been watching wrestling, but let me just check certain things and kind of all of that. I got to, when I was looking at women's stuff, I got to Naomi. I was looking at how many times she had won the women's title. Obviously, the SmackDown ones that you mentioned. And I remember being gobsmacked and telling my missus, because even then she was kind of watching here and there. I was like, you know, Naomi has not won this thing before. Even when these women were here running around in bra and panty, like Naomi ain't won nothing. Like she's been here, like you said, at the time, like that would have been approaching 10 years. Like I'm thinking, huh? Bro, I was checking databases and all sorts to see, is there something I've missed? The only other thing that came up was the FCW championship.
Yes, first one.
She was the first women's champion at FCW. Like, even in the Divas era, how didn't Naomi come out to win the women's or that butterfly belt, whatever they'll call it, the Divas Championship? It's just a real mess. And yeah, like you said, we find ourselves where we find ourselves. Naomi will probably just have to be quiet for a while, lay low. Her husband is her husband. Her husband's cousin is who he is, and maybe that is her saving grace. But yeah, Sasha Banks, it hurts me it's ended this way. She, like we said, she's had little stints. There's been brilliant 6 months here and there of tag team championship, women's championship, or just women's championship. She's never had a tear. She's never went on that tear of dominance like that. Like I say, the Charlottes have went on, the Becky Lynch's have went on. No chance. It just hasn't happened. And for what reason? I don't know. Like it's mad.
I don't want it to be the obvious reason. I don't want it to be this obvious reason, but it comes back to it every single time because I can't find any other reason it could possibly be for someone to think, I'm not too sure about this one. They're black. Unfortunately, I don't want it to be that. I don't want to pull the race card and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 and sound like a broken record and all. But at the same time, if the same record's playing, what am I meant to do? What am I meant to do? You know what I mean? It's crazy, it's unfathomable, but at the same time, I guess the other worrying thing is we've said this, a few weeks ago when we first knew that they'd been suspended or the walkout happened and all that kind of stuff, and speculating as to what their future is going to be. It's worrying that I'm not kind of like begging for her to now join AEW. Because the state of AEW's women's division can't handle a Sasha Banks right now.
Yes.
It's not ready for a Sasha Banks right now. The matches, Sasha Banks Thunder Rosa, Sasha Banks Jade, possibly, Sasha Banks Statlander, Banks Tony like the matches on paper, the conversations between her and Britt Baker, for example, on paper sounds great. Sounds amazing. Let's do it tomorrow. But if we really stop and check AEW's women's division, how it's utilized, how much time they get on TV, how important the matches seem to be, in terms of the depth of the rivalries and the stories and all. Sasha, stay where you are. Just go and do some films, make some music with your cousin, and probably go to Japan for a couple of weeks or something like that, because AEW is not the place. Not right now, at least. Not right now. Impact ain't got the money for you either. So it's a
that's it. Like she goes to AEW maybe if she needs the money, which I'm not convinced she does. So the money will come from other places. Unlimited in spades. Money will come from other places. So there is nothing, especially as a woman, that AEW are showing you right now that thinks, I want to be part of that division. Nothing. You go there if maybe things are, some of these kind of guys that have been released, great wrestlers, don't have anywhere else to go. They do the indies. Maybe they want something a bit more secure. They take an AEW contract, which is no slight on them. Everyone's situation is different. You have to look after yourself. But Sasha Banks, with what, like you're saying, what she's going through in WWE, she'll have to be literally take the pen from Tony Khan, because you've done a rubbish job booking women's divisions for 3 years. Let me book it. Let me be in it. Let me be champion. Like, it has to be that kind of Hulk Hogan approach. Like,
right.
Otherwise, yeah, why would she go? I would love to still see Sasha wrestling on our TVs. Don't get me wrong, but I don't even think, even if they just took the title, I mean, literally took the title from Thunder Rosa and said, this is, the big guy in town now. Give it to Banks. What are they going to book? There's no evidence that they can book a good division, no matter the big names that they have. Tony Storm is just, come in. Nothing really interesting or gripping is happening. So, yeah, it's Hollywood and beyond, I say, for Sasha Banks.
Most definitely. I can't see any other way, to be honest. I was gonna say earlier when you was talking about obviously what's happening with Sasha Banks and how the rumors have kind of heightened and blah blah blah. It pains me to think that rumors start flying even more when they see Sasha Banks with black hair. It's clearly white folk not understanding the workings of a black woman, seeing her with non-blue hair, because at the end of the day, I guarantee you this: when she leaves an arena and she's probably off for a few days, her hair ain't blue.
Yeah, she probably changes it. Yeah,
blue. It's a wig. She does something. It's a dye. It's something. It's not natural hair, and her hair being black. Come on, lads. Just do a bit. Just do your research a little bit further. Don't try and find every little thing to heighten rumors and get more clicks on your dirt sheets and all the rest of it. Come on, just calm down, lads. Just calm down until you actually hear, from your sources, until you actually hear any kind of confirmations or whatever else. Changing of a black woman's hair color, it's not the one.
Yeah, it doesn't equate.
It's not it, lads. It's not. Anyway, I just need to get that out of the way as well. It's madness. Very quickly, we've got Money in the Bank coming up. It's coming up Saturday. We know that Bianca Belair is facing Carmella. We know that the Street Profits are facing the Usos for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. And of course, we also have Bobby Lashley facing Theory for the United States Championships. Now, quick prediction session. What do you think is going to happen with those three matches in particular? Oh, and Omos is going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match as well. Any idea what you're thinking as to how these matches are going to play out?
It's very weird because obviously John Cena was kind of hanging over the US title picture with rumors that him versus Theory may be a thing at SummerSlam. John Cena was on Raw last night, kind of indicated that he wants to continue wrestling, doesn't know when that'll next be. Didn't really tease SummerSlam. John Cena has a bit of troll tendency in him. I wouldn't be surprised if something like an Austin Theory was celebrating a win over Bobby Lashley, and then John Cena comes out to kind of state his claim and set up the SummerSlam match. That wouldn't surprise me. Does Bobby Lashley have a very good chance at winning this title? Yeah, I really think he does. The crowd are very hot on him. WWE are still very hot on him. They don't see him as high as the Brocks and the Romans, but they are high on him. I think, especially in something like Roman's hiatus, they need to put this title on Bobby Lashley. So it's almost like the de facto world championship, because the world championship is not actually around. So Bobby Lashley is basically the top guy across the shows, because although Theory is holding these titles right now, he's not really carrying himself like a champion. He's doing the whole kind of heel, whiny heel, whinging about everything. Bobby Lashley could be, cool, babyface, dominant heel. You want a match? Cool. Let's get in the ring. Let's do this and all that kind of stuff. So I feel that should be the angle for Bobby Lashley. Bianca Belair. my God, bruv, we're starving. We are absolutely starving. Like, I don't know. They don't know what they're doing. I keep saying I'm not the one booking the show. I just need to tune in and be satisfied. And it's like, okay, they've clearly just put Carmella in front of her now to be a quick win. Fine, fair enough. But just as a character, just in general, Bianca Belair coming out, waving her hair and singing and stuff. My guy, I'm just bored of it at this point. With all due respect, she's got so much to offer, and her match is bang. So yeah, it's not a fact that we're going to be disappointed come to the match. The match will be fine, but week to week, she just feels like an afterthought that's carrying the belt.
It's repeat, bro. It's repeat. The things that I said, it's repeat from the week before, the week before that, a month ago, a year ago. Like it's so repetitive, and I know for a fact that she's not in a position where she's writing her own stuff. So this isn't on her like that. It's not on her like that to where we're saying, right, Bianca, now you're getting boring. Whoever's writing for her needs to get sacked, because it's the same thing over and over again. And it's like we've been saying for weeks, for months, for almost a year. Something different needs to happen with Bianca Belair. Just something different. We missed the chance of having her hair being cut. Maybe that would add something to her personality. And we're just having the same thing now. The whole thing with Carmella's kind of come because Rhea Ripley got injured, but at the same time, was it really going to make any difference in terms of the outcome of the match and who walks away with the championship? Would the rivalry be any different to what Bianca's had in the past? No, I very much doubt it. I very much doubt it. We kind of know what's going to happen with this match. Bianca's going to walk away as the champion again and carry on. But who's next? You know what I mean? Who's next? We've got not Rhea Ripley, sorry, Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss kind of in the wings. Becky Lynch, of course, is still there. Asuka's still about, but she's beaten those two. Hopefully, we don't necessarily get either one of those two for now. But a question. So it's Money in the Bank. With the ladies, I think only one female who's won it in the past has held it for longer than 24 hours, and that was Carmella.
Yeah.
Everyone else has won it on the night and then cashed in the same night. Is that a possibility? Or the next night? Is that a possibility?
It is. I don't think anyone will cash in successfully.
Okay.
And for me, it's kind of obvious that Becky's gonna win. Now, I feel like the best thing that they could possibly do is Becky wins it. Not that Becky winning it is the best thing, but if Becky wins it, then wherever Bianca's SummerSlam program is, Becky then tries to cash in immediately, like how she basically cashed in last SummerSlam.
She might even try and do a Seth.
Maybe. But either way, Becky loses. Becky doesn't have a successful cash in. But yeah, she basically tries to replicate, beating Bianca in 26 seconds like she did last year, but it fails this time. But bro, like, I think it's a thing where it, like you mentioned, Rhea Ripley was supposed to be the plan here, as we know, but it's the way it's booked with Bianca Belair involved. It's all the same. She comes out for weeks. She does nothing. She examines the rest of the women's division. Eventually, a number one contender comes to the fore. She's a baby face, so she's like, cool, I'll take you on. I'm not scared. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, attacked by heel. So now she comes out. I'm the roughest, the baddest, the toughest, the this and that. Like, I'm going to beat you anyway. Bianca Belair beats said heel. And then by then, that's the pay-per-view. And we're back round to another 3-4 weeks of TV programming of the same stuff, the same cycle.
The same thing.
Like, I just don't know. They need to let her just do more. Talk of Champions, I think, said in the comments. They got to let her have more to say on her promos. Yeah, it's more than just the roughest, the toughest. She needs more than that. But like we've been saying, as a character, she hasn't changed from the girl that once upon a time came onto the main roster in the pandemic. She hasn't changed. Like nothing has made her change at all. Not aesthetically, not within her character. I don't understand. Like, give her something, because I'm not sure the crowd still like her. Yes, but like, are they really? Have they reached that next level of investment, or are they just content with this? You see what I mean?
Could there possibly be the turning? When someone's too good for too long, or too nice, even down to performance too good, or even down to character too nice for too long, and then everyone kind of gets bored or upset. And all right, you're pushing this woman in our face now. Like, could you see that happening, or is it kind of too far away from that?
I can't see it happening, but something like that is even an easy way to go. Make her become arrogant. Make her, start pinning people in very arrogant ways and stuff like that. Or, like going to hug a member of the crowd, she hugs them, like wipes the sweat off them or something. You see what I mean? Like, just make her a bit overly cocky, arrogant. And that way, that could be kind of a slow turn towards a heel until the crowd eventually start booing her, bang, then make her a heel sort of thing. But there's just nothing. It doesn't matter who she would have goes up against, because we're not questioning her matches. We're just questioning as a champion. In the chase, she's awesome. And that's where this character kind of works, because she is the best, trying to prove she's the best. Once she is undisputedly the best because she has the title,
you've got to have something else to go with. Right.
Exactly.
And it's interesting. It's something that she even said. I saw a little clip. I was on a Instagram earlier, and there was a little clip of her and Montez Ford driving in a car. I think it was a car advert or something like that. And she was talking about, being the best. It's one thing to rise to the top. It's another thing to stay on top when you get there. And that's what this is. It's like, as you just said, it's great for her to have this character in terms of chasing the championship, but to have this character as a champion, you're like, all right, give me something new now. It's been long enough. You know what I mean? And even in the beginning of her second championship run, you're still like, right, I need something different to what you did with the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah,
there needs to be something different, but it's not happening. And I don't get it. To quickly go back to Bobby Lashley, I said this from day one when I saw him kind of messing with Theory. I really believe it's going to be Bobby Lashley's going to take that championship, and then we're going to get the build up to Theory Cena in some way for SummerSlam. So I strongly believe Lashley's going to win that championship there. The Street Profits and the Usos, it's a tough one to call. Now, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins both got singles victories over the Usos. Sometimes that's like, okay, so you're definitely not winning the championship. But sometimes it is like, what are you trying to tell us here? So what do you think that one is?
I have a really strong feeling that the Street Profits are going to win. Okay. I don't know why. I think maybe this is the opportunity because Roman, out of sight, out of mind. If the Usos lose, it's like they're not going to get blasted on TV by him. He's not there. So, and the Street Profits have been excellent. They have been really good in the last month, 6 weeks. So maybe I'm being optimistic. Maybe they want to still keep the bloodline strong, so it won't happen. But this is a perfect chance, let's call it, to put the tag team championships on Street Profits. Maybe give them one last run as a tag team, like we were discussing before. Still very confident that this draft this year is probably the end of the Street Profits. So this might just be the, what do they call it, the last hurrah sort of thing. As a tag team.
Very true. Any possibility of Omos winning the Money in the Bank?
God, I hope not. I'm still shocked AJ Styles didn't make it into the match. I think it's a Riddle win. And then how they say Riddle is going to go after Roman when he's not allowed to now face Roman, it's just WWE booking themselves into a corner. It smells of that. But I think it's a Riddle win, almost in there to just do some crazy spots and stuff like that. Nothing more, I don't think.
I think it's either Riddle, possibly Seth Rollins win in the back. I don't think it should be anyone else, to be honest, actually. Drew McIntyre maybe, but his values kind of dipped in the last year or so. They're trying to up it up and all the rest of it, but I don't really see that happening. He's the only other person I can think of, but Seth or Riddle. And we'll see what happens. Folks, on that note, Money in the Bank's on Saturday. Check it out. I will be, and I'll let you know what happens if you don't. And this has been our show. This is WrstlXtra. You are watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel, listening on affinityextra.com. You can catch me, Dazzle, the Black Wrestling Advocate, Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram, and my new Twitter handle is BWA Dazzle. It's a little bit more about my opinions, so I can say what I want and not necessarily hurt the brand, maybe. Anyway,
that's what he thinks, guys.
That's what I hope. You can follow this guy, Mex the WrestleManiac, on WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram, and WrestleManiac UK on Twitter. And of course, make sure, please subscribe, follow, check that notification bell always on WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. And of course, the man them at Rest Things as well. Folks, this has been our time. We are done. See you again soon.
See you later, guys.